On April 2nd, 2025, at exactly 4:42 a.m., the USS Harry S. Truman, a $13 billion symbol of American naval strength, became the target of a sudden, calculated assault in the Red Sea. 15 ballistic missiles and more than 20 drones streaked toward the carrier, turning one of the world's most vital shipping routes into a battlefield. Each red icon on the radar signaled not just an attack on a ship, but a direct challenge to US presence in a region critical to global trade. But instead of chaos, the Navy unleashed silent, calculated dominance. What followed was not a story of destruction, but a demonstration of how airwaves, algorithms, and advanced teamwork could reshape the outcome of modern warfare. The alarms had only just begun to sound. At 4:42 a.m., the USS Harry S. Truman became the center of a meticulously coordinated assault. The calm of the Red Sea was shattered as radar screens filled with hostile signatures. 15 ballistic missiles closing in from multiple vectors, and more than 20 drones racing toward the carrier group. The crew, trained for high-tempo emergencies, moved instantly to their stations. In seconds, the ship's routines gave way to a battle rhythm. Doors sealed, orders relayed, and every eye fixed on the threat boards. This was no random barrage. Each element of the attack was designed to exploit the carrier's layered defenses. Ballistic missiles, programmed to approach from different angles, forced the Truman's operators to divide their attention and response. Meanwhile, the drones, many equipped with jamming payloads, swarmed in, flooding the electromagnetic spectrum with interference and decoys. Their goal was clear: to blind sensors, confuse targeting, and create gaps for the missiles to slip through. It was a coordinated multi-vector strike meant to overwhelm every layer of defense. Below deck, the Combat Information Center became the ship's nerve center. Officers scanned streams of data from the Aegis combat systems, linked to the USS Gravely and USS Mason, forming the carrier's outer shield. These guided missile destroyers, equipped with SPY-1 radars, took the brunt of the first wave. Within moments, their Aegis systems tracked the incoming missiles and launched a volley of SM-2 and SM-6 interceptors. 5 ballistic missiles were destroyed in mid-air, their debris lighting up the horizon. But the threat was not over. One missile still detonated near the Truman's starboard bow, rocking the ship but causing no casualties. The attack's intensity was undeniable, and the crew's resolve was tested with every passing second. Above deck, CIWS teams manned their stations, ready to engage anything that slipped through. As the ballistic missiles were intercepted, the drones pressed their assault. These UAVs flew low and erratic, seeking out the Truman's blind spots and exploiting the confusion. The evolved Sea Sparrow missiles, ESSM, fired from vertical launch cells, targeting drones just miles out from the carrier. The ESSM's agility proved crucial, intercepting several UAVs before they could close the distance. Drones flooded the spectrum with jamming and decoys, forcing CIWS crews to rely on split-second judgment. The close-in weapon systems, nicknamed Sea Whiz, became the last line of defense. Their Gatling guns unleashed a barrage of tungsten shells at anything that broke through the outer layers. One drone, skimming just above the waves, managed to evade missile fire and was shredded mid-air by gunfire, erupting into a fireball only 400 yards from the starboard side. Each successful intercept brought a momentary surge of relief, but the crew knew the threat was ongoing. The attack's sophistication was evident. Every drone and missile was part of a larger strategy to saturate defenses and probe for weaknesses. The crew was forced to make rapid decisions based on incomplete data, with electronic interference obscuring real threats. The Truman's defensive network, Its destroyer screen, missile batteries, and automated gun systems operated in concert, but the margin for error was razor thin. The Truman's position in the Red Sea underscored the stakes. This was not just a fight for survival, but a battle to safeguard a critical artery of global commerce. The carrier group's presence was a signal of stability in a region where the consequences of failure would ripple far beyond the immediate battlefield. The attackers aimed not only to damage a ship, but to send a message about the vulnerability of even the most advanced naval force. Despite the relentless assault, the Truman's layered defenses held. The destroyer's Aegis systems, the carrier's missile batteries, and the CIWS teams each did their part. But as the last drone remnants disappeared from the radar, the crew remained on edge. The visible threats had been met with skill and firepower, yet the complexity of the attack suggested that the battle was not confined to what could be seen or shot down. In the moments that followed, it became clear that the true test would unfold in a different domain. The next phase would not rely solely on missiles or guns, but on the ability to fight an enemy in the invisible realm, where signals, jamming, and electronic warfare determined who controlled the battle space. While the threat from missiles and drones captured every eye on the Truman's Bridge, a different kind of battle was unfolding just out of sight. The ship's radar operators, still recovering from the chaos, suddenly faced a new dilemma. Static, false echoes, and surges of interference flooded their screens. It was clear that the attackers had equipped their drones with electronic jamming devices, aiming to scramble communications, distort targeting, and make it nearly impossible to separate friend from foe in the confusion. The Navy's response began with the E-2D Hawkeye, whose advanced sensors re-established full radar coverage across the southern Red Sea corridor. This move restored a clear operational picture and allowed the next phase of defense to begin. Electronic warfare officers quickly identified the hostile interference patterns and activated their countermeasures. The EA-18G Growler aircraft, rerouted from patrol, arrived with a singular mission: electromagnetic dominance. As they swept in, the Growlers pulsed high-powered jamming waves across the same frequencies used by enemy UAVs. By disrupting the control links between the drones and their operators, the Growlers forced several hostile drones to lose signal and crash into the sea, neutralizing threats before they could reach the carrier group. Achieving this level of control in the electromagnetic spectrum required more than brute force. The enemy drones shifted between secured channels, constantly changing frequencies to avoid being jammed. The EA-18Gs countered with adaptive algorithms capable of identifying and interrupting these new frequencies in real time. This technological edge gave the Navy decisive control. Without it, the drones' jamming could have blinded the Truman's radar, opening the way for further attacks. Supporting the Growlers from the surface was the ASLQ-32 Electronic Warfare Suite, SLIC-32, installed on both the USS Gravely and USS Mason. As Houthi operators tried to re-establish drone control after the initial retaliation, SLIC-32 began broadcasting powerful jamming signals of its own. These waves disrupted GPS links and command channels, effectively disabling at least 4 enemy drones without firing a single missile. On the radar, targets that had moved with purpose suddenly froze or drifted off course. One sailor aboard the Mason described the effect. You'd look at the radar and see them moving, then you'd watch them just stop like someone unplugged the sky. Drones that seconds before were on collision courses simply fell out of the sky, turning into harmless wreckage. This display of non-kinetic warfare marked a shift in naval defense strategy. Traditional missile and gun systems are limited by ammunition and can be quickly exhausted in a massed attack. Electronic warfare, by contrast, offered a scalable, cost-effective way to neutralize swarms of threats at once. The operators behind these systems understood the stakes. Each time a drone was forced down or blinded, it preserved vital interceptors and kept the Truman's layered defenses intact for whatever might come next. As the Growlers continued to suppress enemy communications, and Slick 32 dismantled the drone swarm's coordination, the atmosphere in the command center changed. The chaos of overlapping signals and false targets gave way to clarity. Drones that might have overwhelmed the carrier now drifted aimlessly or dropped into the sea, easily finished off by shipboard gunners. The integration of air and sea-based electronic warfare was seamless, each asset covering the other's blind spots and reinforcing the strike group's overall resilience. Still, the crew remained vigilant. Neutralizing the immediate threat was only part of the challenge. Electronic warfare officers watched for any renewed attempts by Houthi forces to regain signal control, ready to jam or spoof new commands. Intelligence teams aboard the Growler sifted through intercepted transmissions, working to locate the enemy's jamming relays and drone operators. The goal was not just to survive the attack, but to ensure it could not be repeated. The outcome of this invisible battle made one thing clear. The Truman strike group had turned a moment of vulnerability into a demonstration of modern naval power. Algorithms, adaptive jamming, and disciplined teamwork had kept the carrier afloat and the Red Sea open. As radar screens returned to normal and the last hostile signals faded, the crew knew the fight was not finished. The attack had been repelled, but the mission was far from over. For the USS Truman strike group, defense wasn't enough. Operation Vigilant Edge marked a shift from defense to decisive action. The mission's objective was clear: dismantle the source of the threat and prevent future attacks through a meticulously coordinated, multi-domain response. The operation brought together air, sea, and cyber assets in a demonstration of precision and adaptability that would set a new standard for modern naval warfare. The planning for Operation Vigilant Edge began as soon as the immediate threat subsided. Navy leaders understood that a simple show of force would not be enough. The Houthi launch sites, many of them mobile and hidden in the mountainous terrain near Sada, were designed to evade detection. Coastal warehouses and command centers, often concealed close to civilian areas, added another layer of complexity. The operation's success depended on integrating real-time intelligence and ensuring that every strike counted. No civilian casualties were reported in these precision strikes, a testament to the care taken in target selection and execution. The first stage of retaliation relied on the seamless flow of intelligence. The Truman Strike Group's command center worked in tandem with satellite and aerial reconnaissance, using infrared imaging and real-time surveillance to pinpoint more than 30 high-value targets. ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance assets tracked mobile launchers as they attempted to relocate, relaying updated coordinates directly to strike platforms. This constant stream of verified data allowed commanders to confirm target activity and minimize the risk of collateral damage. Once targets were confirmed, the USS Gravely and USS Mason launched Tomahawk cruise missiles. These missiles, guided mid-flight by the latest ISR updates, struck deep into enemy territory, targeting hardened infrastructure and mobile launchers hidden in remote areas. The Tomahawk's ability to receive new coordinates during flight showcased the Navy's capacity to adapt to shifting battlefield conditions. Each missile was assigned a specific, verified target, ensuring that no effort was wasted and every strike contributed to the operation's objective. Meanwhile, the USS Truman's flight deck became a hub of activity. FA-18, Super Hornets launched in rapid succession, carrying precision-guided munitions for targets that required a more flexible aerial approach. These jets, equipped with advanced targeting pods, could identify and eliminate smaller, highly mobile threats that missiles might miss. They also maintained overwatch, scanning, for any signs of renewed attacks or hidden threats. The operation's reach extended beyond the carrier group. B-1B Lancer bombers from Al Udeid Air Base in Qatar joined the effort, bringing heavy payloads to bear against fortified command centers and munitions depots. Their strikes targeted the infrastructure that supported the enemy's drone and missile operations, disrupting supply lines and command capabilities. The combination of sea-launched missiles, carrier-based aircraft, and long-range bombers created a layered offensive that left no sanctuary for the attackers. What set Operation Vigilant Edge apart was the integration of all these assets into a single, coordinated campaign. Surveillance drones tracked fleeing mobile launchers, transmitting real-time updates to Tomahawk missiles already in flight. Communication between the carrier strike group, reconnaissance platforms, and ground-based command centers ensured that every stage of the operation was informed by the latest intelligence. In under 12 hours, more than 30 high-value targets, ranging from mountain launch sites near Sada to coastal warehouses, were destroyed with remarkable precision. The effects of the operation were felt immediately. Shipping routes through the Red Sea, which had been threatened by the initial attack, reopened within hours. International shipping resumed, and the global economy avoided disruption. For 36 hours after the strikes, no new missile or drone launches were detected from Yemen, a clear indication that the enemy's operational capacity had been severely degraded. Analysts noted the absence of retaliatory fire as evidence of both the effectiveness and the deterrent power of Vigilant Edge. Within the Truman strike group, the sense of urgency shifted to quiet vigilance. The crews had faced a sophisticated, coordinated assault and responded with a level of integration and adaptability that redefined expectations for modern naval operations. The lessons learned from Operation Vigilant Edge would inform future strategies, shaping how the Navy approaches emerging threats and multi-domain challenges. As the Red Sea returned to an uneasy calm, the significance of the operation became clear. The events of those hours would not only alter the immediate balance of power, but would also serve as a blueprint for defending against unpredictable threats. The story of the Truman Strike Group's response was not just one of survival, but of setting a new standard for naval warfare, one that would resonate far beyond the waters of the Red Sea. The conclusion of the Truman Strike Group's ordeal highlights a new reality for naval operations. Airwaves, algorithms, and teamwork, not just firepower, proved decisive against a complex, asymmetric threat. The integration of long-range missiles, interceptors, close-in weapon systems, and electronic warfare created a layered defense that adapted in real time, neutralizing a coordinated missile and drone assault. As adversaries invest in new technologies and unconventional tactics, the need for innovation and seamless coordination only grows. The Red Sea may be calm again, but challenges on the horizon remain. If you found this insight valuable, hit like, share your thoughts below, and subscribe for more deep dives into military innovation. What new threats will naval forces face next?